And we will move into the highlight of today's call. We are joined by Liz Kozminski, who is a transaction coordinator for hire, a gun for hire, and she is set up in our Rocky River office and serving a lot of different agents inside of our company, supporting them with transaction coordination, bookkeeping, and another number of other things that I'm sure she will tell you about. She is an incredibly experienced real estate professional. She is licensed and she is enrolled in MAPS coaching. So when it comes to Keller Williams and Keller Williams systems and models and technology, she's a master of all those as well. And so without any further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Liz. And Liz, you have to tell me, would you like me to be your Disney magic today, or are we sharing the screen over to you?
I think I can share the screen. I'll do the screen share. So.
All right. Well, let me get my screen off the screen. And then make you the host. Oh, all right. You're on.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you, Keller Williams, for letting me speak to you today. I get the privilege of talking to you about systems, which I'm pretty sure is not most of your favorite thing to talk about, even though it may be one of my favorite things to talk about. So let me, did I just stop with my presentation?
Yeah, I believe it. I believe it did.
Okay, there we go.
All right, you're back.
Great, good. So systems, I realize, seem to scare a lot of people. And I think it's often because we have a tendency to believe there are certain myths when it comes to systems. One of them being that there's a system that works best. So I know that we often talk about what's the best CRM. The best CRM is the CRM that works for you, that you will use. The same goes for systems. The best system for whatever it is you're looking to build out is a system that you're actually going to use. Everybody's brain works differently. Everyone prefers to take in information in different ways. For example, visual people, they often want to see what's going on in obviously a visual way. So they want graphs, they want things, that are colorful that they can just look at and see what's going on. Whereas there are other people who are more written based, who want to see an explanation of everything that's going on, such as a list of activities or things like that when it comes to a system. And so just like your business is unique, the solution that's going to work, the system that's going to work for you is going to be unique. And a lot of that goes along with the fact that, we all have our different personalities. So we talk a lot about the DISC personalities here at Keller Williams. So for a high D, the high D wants a system that is going to tell them what's done and what isn't done, something they can look at and know what's going on and move on. The high I is going to want the system that is going to allow them to interact more with people. So it's going to be the system that reminds them when someone's birthday is, make sure that they have everything together so that they can really provide optimum service to their client. For an S, S's I think tend to enjoy systems because of the fact that they provide stability and comfort, which is what ultimately what the S is looking for. And then I think obviously when it comes to the C is more what we all think of when we think of systems, because I'm a high C. I love checklists and compliance and all the details. So I think it's easy to understand a C liking a system. However, I want to just encourage you, no matter what your personality is to consider the fact that systems are going to help you too. I think another common myth is that you know what you're doing and so you don't need a system, which works to a certain extent. However, I want to challenge you. What happens when you get really busy? How many balls do you actually think you can juggle before one gets dropped? And, you know, depending on the person, maybe it's 3, maybe it's 10. However, at some point, you're going to hit a max of what your brain can handle. You know, you'll be sitting down and you'll be like, who was the title company from that deal that went under contract 3 weeks ago? And did they confirm that we got earnest money? Or was it the other deal that went under contract 2 days later that confirmed earnest money? Having a system allows you to review what has and hasn't been done, so you know where to focus your time. And I can tell you, it is definitely a better use of your time to have something that you can just glance at and know something's been done versus having to go back into your email and search and find out whether or not that earnest money has been received. So the system is going to save you time, and it makes sure.
Hey, Liz.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, this is, I'm going to do a callback here to the conversation we had with Eddie Donnelly last week, right? This is, systems are key to moving from E to P, from entrepreneurial to purposeful, right? We all, whether you, like you said, whether it's 3 deals, 5 deals, or 10 deals, we all have a ceiling to our natural talent. And the system is what's going to allow us to exceed that.
The system's the hammer that lets us break that ceiling above us.
Love it.
Yeah. So even if you know what you're doing, I can tell you at some point you are going to need a system. Myth number 3 is that having a system will confine me. I won't have my freedom. And systems actually give you freedom. When you implement a system, you actually become more efficient with your time, which then frees up your time to do something else. It will also free you up from worry. You don't have to spend time trying to remember what you did or didn't do, what you might be forgetting. It tells you what you need to do, when you need to do it. So it actually will free up a lot of that. And it doesn't, systems don't confine if they're a good system and if they're tailored to what you need. Myth number 4 is I need to perfect my system before I can use it. And honestly, this is the myth that I still often buy into. One of the things that my MAPS coach told me once is done is better than perfect. And it is something that I admit I still struggle with. Because here's the thing, no system is perfect. Systems are going to be ever changing. Just like our market changes, your system is going to have to change with it. And just like we're working towards self-mastery, our systems are on the same journey with us. So I like to think of my systems as something that's actually kind of alive and growing. And if it's not growing, it's probably dying. So because your system needs to be tailored to your specific needs, sometimes you just need to start, put something out there, figure out what works, what doesn't. And then when you know what doesn't work, you can work on making it better. Another myth I feel like I've come across is that systems often feel like they're taking away the personal connection. So real estate really is a business of connecting with people. People work with people they like. So you need to build those relationships with people. However, thinking the system's going to take that away is just not accurate. If you put together a lead generation or a follow-up system, it'll tell you when to call. It might even tell you what to talk about. You know, this month we're talking about the real estate market, or we're talking about, you know, this other thing that happened in the local community. However, you're still the one making the call, and you're still connecting with the person, and you still have to respond appropriately. So the system's not going to tell you, it's not going to, even all the scripts that we have, if you've taken bold, there's lots of scripts, and the scripts are great. However, when someone goes off script, you have to respond appropriately. And that's where the personal connection comes in. Myth number 6, a lot of people say, I could never follow a system. I'm just too much of a free spirit, or, however, I can actually guarantee you that you already have a lot of systems in your life, even if you don't realize it. For example, for those of you who were there yesterday at Colleen's listing presentation, she talked about how when she's in car before a listing appointment, she's listening to a particular playlist to kind of pump her up and get her in the mood. That's a system. It may not be something that she has actually written down, you know, I listen to this song and then this song. However, it's still a system. So we all follow systems. Systems are basically just habits on steroids. So just like we're more likely to achieve our goals when we write them down. I don't remember what the statistic is. However, you know, they say people who set a goal are more likely to achieve it. People who write down that goal are even more likely to achieve it, and then share it, and you're really likely to achieve it because of accountability. However, just like we're more likely to achieve our goals when we write them down, when a habit gets written down and turned into a system, it's actually more likely to be followed, or you'll figure out what isn't working and you'll change it. Again, I mentioned Colleen having her, you know, her system for before she goes into a listing appointment. Maybe just think about some of the systems you have in your life, such as getting ready in the morning. Do you brush your teeth as soon as you get up, or after you shower, or maybe after you've had breakfast or your first cup of coffee? Whatever it is, like that is your system for getting ready in the morning, for brushing your teeth. And it's probably, it's gone from being a system into being a habit. Because probably, has anyone ever really thought about, like, when you brush your teeth, which side of your mouth do you start on? Do you start on the top? Do you start on the bottom, front, back? Like, you probably do the same thing every time and you don't really think about it, because that has just become such an ingrained system. Other systems that I'm sure everyone has is how you answer the phone. What roads do you take when you drive to the store, or when you meet with a client? What are the systems you follow when you meet with a client? So what kind of makes a successful system? First of all, a successful system has something to achieve. There's no reason to create a system that if there's not something that you want to get out of it. Systems are kind of predetermined ways to achieve a result. So if you can't figure out what you want the system to do, or what you want the end result to be, the system's not going to be successful, because you have no way to measure whether or not it's successful. The goal of a system is to make sure you have repeatable success. The goal of a system is to make sure you have repeatable success. If you do it the same way every time, you can expect the same results. To a degree. I mean, obviously results will vary somewhat. However, you can track better success as you improve your system. So systems will give us our expected results. In addition, systems actually need to be edited and updated. If the way you set up your systems, you have to start over every time you want to update it, it's probably not going to be supportive of your growth. So a system that is absolutely set in stone is probably not going to be able to handle you as you grow. In order for a system to be successful, it has to be followed. I can't tell you how many systems I created that were not successful because nobody followed them. So that's really key. If you're creating a system, are you willing to follow it? Also, I really think that a successful system actually has to break from time to time. If we aren't making mistakes, we aren't learning, we aren't growing. Similarly, if you don't occasionally break your system, it may not be robust enough, and you won't know what all it can handle. If you can find the limits of your system, you can actually make it better. And then lastly, a successful system is actually going to save you time. So a lot of what systems will do is they'll tell us what we need to do next. So rather than coming in the morning and looking through, say, all 100 contacts you need to make, or I guess taking a look at, if you have a database of 400 people and figuring out, like, who should I call today? If you have a good system set in place, you come in the morning and it'll say, here's the 10 people you need to call today, or here's the 20 people you need to call today. It actually saves you time. Another way that a successful system could save you time is if you are tracking, say, where all of your business is coming from. So if it may feel like that's going to take more time because, you know, I have to go back and look at all of the deals I closed this year and, you know, where did I get that deal? However, once you've done this, you can actually realize maybe that most of your business comes from your sphere. And all the time you're spending on the internet leads or, you know, wherever else you're getting leads from isn't actually making you much money. And so it's going to save you time because you're no longer going to be following up with those leads, or it'll save you money if you're paying for them. So in this sense, simply tracking what you're doing is going to save you a lot of time. So going back through this, I wanted to go through this and kind of apply some of these hallmarks to a specific system. In this case, what I do a lot of, which is contract to close. So number one, have something to achieve. So a successful closing system is going to get us to the closing table with as few delays as possible. I'd love to say that I have a system that, you know, gets us to the closing table 100% of the time. However, this is real estate, this is people, and I can't control the underwriters. Just can't. It doesn't matter how many emails I send, they're not gonna process that deal any faster. So I judge my success just based on as few delays as I possibly can, having done everything I could do to keep the deal on track. So provide expected results. So when I follow my system, I expect the deal to be closing with as few delays as possible, that everything will get, you know, handled, that all of the reminders will go out, and that all of the clients will have all the information they need throughout the deal as to what's coming next. A successful system can be edited and updated. I'm always tweaking the emails that I send out, looking over my follow-up timelines, the tracking metrics, everything like that. For example, I think it was last month, maybe 2 months ago, I had a lender state the day before closing that they hadn't even sent out the CD because they had in their file that the deal was closing a week later than it was. So now that was where my system broke. And so I was able to go back in, and now I actually follow up with them and make sure that the CD is going to go out in time for the deal to close. Systems are followed. I come in every morning and go through my to-do tasks for the day. The particular system that I have shows me red when there's something I need to do. So my goal to follow my system is to make sure that I get rid of as much of that red throughout the day as I can. Systems break from time to time. I just talked about how, you know, I had my system break, that, you know, we weren't getting the CDs out in time. So I fixed it. And that shows me that, you know, there's still things that I can be working on to grow my system and to make it better. And in addition, a system is going to save you time. So for that, all of the emails that I send out are scripted. It makes it easier for me. It makes it easier so I know I don't forget anything when I'm emailing out. And it doesn't just save time too, because I have to type them out. Like I can actually copy paste all of my emails. However, I don't have to think through what I want to say to a buyer who just went under contract, or what I need to request from the lender, because that's all been scripted already. So for everyone who, you know, wants to know more specifically about this transaction, creating a transaction coordination system that's going to, you know, get you a great system. So one of the reasons why this is a good place to talk about systems is because contract to close is actually probably one of the most systematized processes in real estate. It has more moving parts than any other part of real estate, more dates to hit, and as such, then that means there's more dates to potentially miss. So what are some of the key cornerstones to building a good transaction coordination system? I would say one of the biggest things is like the intro emails. What does the client need to know? Who needs to get the contract right away? So I have emails that I send out to the buyer, you know, saying, congratulations, you've gone under contract. You know, you need to get your inspection scheduled, you need to get your earnest money sent, you need to make your formal loan application, all of that. I have emails that I send out to the lender saying, wanting to introduce myself, I'll be handling this file, here's the contract for you to process, and then I always give them the title company's information as well if I have it. Same thing goes for title. Here's the contract, I'll be handling this file, here's the lender's information. So introducing to the co-broke as well, I'll be handling this file for fastest results. Please email me requesting paperwork. And you know, I have similar emails to send out when I'm working with an agent on the seller side as well. And again, making sure just everyone has the contact information. I feel like that's one of the things that can really delay a deal is when, you know, the lender can't request the title work from the title company. So just making sure everyone has everything they need as soon as possible. One of the next things is just making sure all of the documents that are needed are there. What's needed for compliance for the market center, making sure that the escrow letter gets to title in a timely manner. You know, whenever addenda are signed, they go out to all the parties who need them. And one of the things I like to do is I like to make sure that I don't like to wait until the last minute to make sure we have all the documents we need. So, you know, I'm not waiting until Carrie's got the check sitting on her desk to make sure that, you know, all the boxes are checked. Getting the documents signed as early as possible, I feel like just makes for a much smoother transaction all around. Following up with the inspections and the ROCs, not just that the ROC gets signed, however, did the items requested on the ROC get completed? So I feel like it's easy to, you know, check off, okay, ROC is done. However, that's not really the end of it. Some of the time when there was inspections or repairs negotiated. So following up to make sure that all of that is done. And then all of the lender milestones, such as, was formal loan application made? Was the appraisal order? Did the appraisal come back at value? Because that's also not something we want to find out, you know, 2 days before closing, is that the appraiser never even went out to the property. So checking in with all of this as early as possible. And so for that, because of that, I actually do title and lender check-ins every week. So this lets us know, hopefully as soon as possible, whether or not there will be a delay. And then if there's anything that is needed, we can get on that as soon as possible in hopes of preventing a delay such as that. So, you know, I'll check in and make sure that title got all of the paperwork back that they need. That, you know, because paperwork comes in, that's when they get to search for all those liens that could potentially hold up the deal. So I've actually even started checking in on that. Did you get the information that you need? Another big thing to check in and follow up with is the point of sale. Because we're waiting on the city to complete the point of sale, and a lot of the cities get backed up, we really do need to get on top of that as soon as possible. For you agents, I actually would recommend you talking to your sellers about the point of sale and having them order it before you even go on the market. Ideally, they would complete all of the repairs before you go on the market. However, it should at least be ordered so that it doesn't delay closing. And then finally, just the closing details, making sure that the clients actually got scheduled for signing, making sure that they have the utility information they need to either turn on or turn off utilities after closing. Did the walkthrough get performed, signed off on? Making sure, if it's your listing, that it gets closed out on the MLS. Then in command, marking the opportunity as closed, updating the client's contact information in command. They've got a new address, they just moved, right? So making sure that's in there, making sure, emails and phone numbers are updated and all of that. So I feel like transaction coordination is probably one of the systems that, in real estate we think about the most. However, there's actually a lot more for you guys, I'm skipping ahead of myself. The programs to build this system out, because I feel like, it's easy to talk about all this. However, to actually systematize it, you need something substantial. So here's some tools that could be used. Command. You can use command in opportunities. You can do checklists. It is possible. I have handled transactions using command as my transaction coordination system. You can use just basic spreadsheets, Google or Excel. I've also done this. This is where I started. Paper files. I do know Monica Reynolds, who's kind of the maps operations kind of head person. She teaches the Perfect Real Estate Assistant. She's always talking about having a paper file in addition to an electronic file. Now, I don't do that. I think a lot of people don't do that anymore. So, however, if this is what suits you, then do this. Again, you have to build a system that works best for you. There's a lot of CRMs too that offer transaction coordination system. I worked in Top Producer for a while, and we had, our transaction coordination system built out in there. In addition, if you want to go a little bit more specific, there are actually TC specific programs, Open to Close, TC Workflow, TC Docs. I think there might be a few more. Those are some of the big ones. And then there's other programs too that you can use that aren't really built specifically for transaction coordination that I know a lot of transaction coordinators use, like Trello or Airtable. So again, just pick the program that you will use. There's no one perfect program. They all have advantages and disadvantages. It's just about finding what's going to work.
Oh, thanks.
And then in addition to transaction coordination, there's a lot of other systems to build out as an agent. Make sure you have, your lead gen or your follow-up system. This is the smart plans in command, the 36 touch campaigns, everything like that we often talk about. Appointment systems. Colleen's listing presentation yesterday would fit into this. What do you talk about? What questions do you ask? How do you walk through the house? And having one for a buyer too. What questions are you going to ask? Your buyers every time you sit down. And just a thought on that. Just remember, you have to ask your buyers all buyers have to be asked the exact same questions, so you don't potentially get in trouble for violating fair housing. You can't ask one buyer one set of questions because of who they are versus asking another buyer different questions. Your listing system. What services are you providing to your sellers? Are you providing staging? Are you providing cleaning, professional photos? All of that is another system to figure out and build. When you show homes, what is your system for showing homes? How many are going to show at a time? Do you start downstairs? Do you start upstairs? Do you walk around the house first, or do you go inside first? Where do you put the key? Do you put the key back in the lockbox before you go in the house, or do you put it in your pocket? And then what do you do to remember to take it out of your pocket before you leave? All of that is a system to build out. And then post-transaction follow-up. Gary's talked about a lot of, we focus on this one brief moment in time when people are buying or selling a house. However, are we following up in between their home selling and buying? Because that takes up actually a lot more time. So they may be buying or selling a home for 3 to 6 months. every 10 years. So what are we doing for the other 9.5 years? And then your business plan. This is a system for building a successful business, and Keller Williams is a great place to be for this. You know, we've got the business planning clinic coming up. It's going to help you build out your business. What are you going to do in 2022? You know, great system to have. You know, just thinking about other ones, you know, what's your system for tracking your sources of business? You know, do you know where your business is coming from so that you can target it? And, you know, so there's lots of systems for you to build. Done is better than perfect. Pick one and start.
And I think that's such a such a powerful tip there, is that there's this, I have no systems, and I love that because I get to fly by the seat of my pants, and that's what I do best, right? And then there's the, oh gosh, there are so many systems that I have to build, right? You become a professional system builder. But I love what you said, just pick one and start, right? And as you mentioned, the easiest and best place to start might be with transaction coordination, just because it's, you know, it's on a timeline. It is a system with rigor that involves a lot of different people. And if you can do the same thing every time and know where everything is at any given time, leveraging command, opportunities, any other CRM, any other system that you want to build out, well, now you have what is historically the most time draining part of a transaction is that. So if you systematize it, you give yourself back a lot of time. And then probably the next best place to go is lead gen and follow up, right? Like, what's your system to get your business?
Yeah. So that's what I had for everyone today. I wasn't really watching the chat. Are there questions?
I don't see any questions in the chat. If somebody is, if they were just like, hey, I don't want to do my transaction coordination, they just follow up with you, because obviously you yes. love systems and you love transaction coordination so much that you've made a business out of it.
It's true. It's true. This is what I do. So yes, if anyone wants help with the transaction coordination part of this, I would be more than happy to have a conversation and help you out. So the business that I have is handling all of that for you. I am your transaction coordinator for the transaction. I will do all of that follow-up. I will, you know, make sure we hit all of those deadlines. Everything I talked about, you know, I have the system for this, and it's a flat fee per transaction. So there's no retainer. There's no agreement that you'll send X number of deals. You know, it's on a per transaction basis. So
love that.
Frees you up to do more with your time. You know, if you spend 20 hours working on transaction coordination, how much more business could you generate with that time? So just a thought.
Love it. Well, Liz, thank you so much for pulling together this presentation and helping all of our agents understand the myths to systems, how to overcome them, and where to start. Guys, if you ever need anything, I know Liz is always open to being helpful. She is a huge team player, a big part of our culture here, and we are really excited for this adventure for you. And I'm sure you'll have a lot of people interested in supporting you along the way. So thank you very much again, Liz. And thank you all for joining us and staying with us today. We will see you back here next Tuesday morning at 9:30 a.m. for our Market Center update as we roll into the fourth quarter.